هو اللي جنبك طول عمرك، ولما بتعوزه هتلقاه، ولما بتعوزه هتلقاه. واطمن كله هيبقى تمام، وهيبعت لك في الشدة سلام. ربنا هيعوض أيامك ويحقق لك كل الأحلام. تاني، واطمن كله هيبقى تمام، وهيبعت لك في الشدة سلام. ربنا هيعوض أيامك ويحقق لك كل الأحلام. هيستجيب وليك معاه خطة وترتيب، مشيئته خير وهيثبت لك، لأنه رب عظيم وعجيب. وفي الضيقات هيعدي بيك كل الأزمات، هيحول الحزن لفرحة. ده يسوع إله المستحيلات، ده يسوع إله المستحيلات. واطمن كله هيبقى تمام، وهيبعت لك في الشدة سلام. ربنا هيعوض أيامك ويحقق لك كل الأحلام. واطمن كله هيبقى تمام، وهيبعت لك في الشدة سلام. ربنا هيعوض أيامك ويحقق لك كل الأحلام. هيستجيب ووقت جرحك يبقى طبيب، هو الشفا وهو الراحة، صاحبك وابوك واحن حبيب. يمكن ساعات قلبك بيتعب من الألمات، بس اللي جاي وياه أحلى، وبكرة أفراح وانتصارات، وبكرة أفراح وانتصارات. طمن كله هيبقى تمام، وهيبعت لك في الشدة سلام. ربنا هيعوض أيامك ويحقق لك كل الأحلام. واطمن هيبقى تمام، وهيبعت لك في الشدة سلام. ربنا هيعوض أيامك ويحقق لك كل الأحلام.
Oh,
right?
is that what you want? Yeah. That
Oh,
would-
okay,
yeah.
so it's fine.
Where do you want everybody? And I'll give you the microphone. No, no, you don't. Like, no, you stand wherever you want. Do you want them closer? What do you want?
I prefer a discussion. Okay, and I think with the language there. Okay. Sorry guys, أنا متعبة بس I want us to kind of sit a little closer together. So, maybe I should say. Should I stand? I don't like that thing. Okay, you guys can all hear me? Do I need a mic? Yes. I do need a mic? Yeah, عشان اليوتيوب? Okay. Okay. I really hate mics. Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Nancy Sidholm. I'm a nurse practitioner, and I specialize in diabetes. And so Mary asked me to come and give a talk about nutrition. Okay? Sure. Sorry? You missed it. My name is Nancy. I'm a nurse practitioner. I specialize in diabetes. And so Mary asked me to come give a talk about nutrition. Okay? And so honestly, like I want this talk to be interactive. So please feel free to stop and ask me any questions, and we're going to talk about anything you want to bring up. So I've been doing diabetes for 16 years now, and honestly, I think the biggest struggle for us in this current day and age is, what do I believe, right? Like, back in the day, like, if I wanted to learn something, I'd go to the library, I'd take out the encyclopedia, I'd research it, and then I understood it, and I go home and I'm happy. Now, the problem is not getting the information, the problem is knowing which information to believe, right? Like, there's constantly getting all this information, whether it be an article or a video or a social media post about this is good for you, this is bad for you, eat this, don't eat this, you know? And a lot of times you find the information is conflicting. You ever find that? Does anybody, like, is there anything that you found recently, or like, what are the current, topics right now that are being fed to us in terms of nutrition? Like, what are the... Keto. Like, anyone know what the keto diet is? What's the keto diet? No, I hear about it, but I don't know what it is. Only fats and... Right. Eat only protein and fats and no carbohydrates, no... Is this good? Should we all go keto? During Lent, yes, we should. No, I'm kidding. What else have you, these days, a lot of times I think that, you hear, oh, carbohydrates are bad, right? Carbs are bad. You hear that a lot, right? And in the 1980s, or in the when I was growing up, it was fats are bad, right? Are fats bad, or are they good now? I don't know. Huh? Depends on the fats. Very good. Excellent. Hi, Buna. So... Right. So there's always, the point of today is I won't, have time to go over everything. And the truth of the matter is I'll go to conferences and you'll have two scientists debating keto or is better, and the other guy's like, no, Mediterranean is better. And they will sit there and talk about their research and because we don't have all the answers. And so what I want you guys to get out of today is, I'm going to give you two basic concepts that hopefully you can carry with you, so that when someone says, oh, do this, you can remember these concepts and try to look and see if this is a good idea or not a good idea. Kind of like a lens, you know what I mean? Like a nadara, so that you can see, oh, that sounds like a good idea, or that does not sound like a good idea. All right, so anything so far? We're good? Okay. So the two basic concepts I want everyone to leave with is, Mary, what time am I ending? So like 7:40? 7:50, okay. So the first concept is eat real food. So what do I mean when I say eat real food? Right. So what was your name? Mary's right. So when we talk about eating real food, it's eating food in its most natural state. So I love, like, one of the things I love about science is when I study science, it always, always, always glorifies its creator. It always agrees with God's way, right? That's what I always find. When I study something, like nutrition, it always goes back to God. Eat food that God made, right? That's what real food is, the way God made it, in its most natural element. Right? So, and like, I mean, one of the first things he did is he made us a garden, right? Like, he wants to give us nutritious food. And so, like, for an example, right, like, an apple, right? That's in its most natural state. If I take that apple and then I make it I make juice from it, I've done something to it, right? Apple juice is not found in nature. So what's healthier, the apple or apple juice? The apple, right? So always think of that in your background when you are feeding your family. I'm trying to eat food in its most natural state. And then in the next few slides, I'm going to go over like the concept of processed foods and ultra-processed foods, just so we can define those terms, okay? And then the other basic concept is in nutrition, it's all about balance. Balance, balance, balance. Like moderation and balance are very important, okay? Okay, so I bought this video to talk about, like, we talk about real food, we talk about food that's unprocessed. Again, food that we haven't done anything to it. And so, rice is a big part of our culture, right? Especially during Lent. So I wanted to show you a video about how, when we how do they make, when you farm rice? Any farmers here? Anybody? No farmer. So do they grow brown rice and do they grow white rice? Let's find out. Let's see if this video will work. Oh, it's not coming up? Oh, no. Hold on.
Oh, it's not showing?
No. I think it's not going to work.
What's the name of the video?
Oh, I made a clip out of it, Abuna. It's going to be too complicated. It's okay. I made a clip. I don't know. But I mean, it's here. I mean, I could mirror it. I mean, this is bigger than an iPad, no? Oh, you mean because the iPad will? Oh, tech.
The PowerPoint was mirroring, but the video is not. So you can see the PowerPoint.
Maybe if I take the PowerPoint out of presentation mode, maybe the presentation mode is like blocking everything else, you know? No, there it goes, yeah. So then you can expand that. And then I don't know if we're going to get any volume on it. Yeah.
Only because of its nutty texture, but due to the higher nutritional value. It's good for the heart, aids digestion, and may reduce the risk of cancer, diabetes, and high cholesterol. It's all in the brand.
Oh, that's how you do it? You're so smart.
Thank you.
Okay.
It still has its hull. At the mill, the protective hull is removed from the rice kernel for consumption. The rice hull is not edible, although can be used as animal feed, pet food, fertilizer, and in some countries, building material. All types of rice, short.
So that's called patty rice. Patty rice is when you grow rice, this is what you get, okay? It's kind of like think of it like lib, right? It has a protective coating on the outside that you can't eat, and then you crack it, and then you get the inside of it is the rice, okay? What's inside of that?
Medium or long grain begin life as patty rice, including the highly nutritious brown rice. This is brown rice. Brown rice is rice that has just had its hull removed, leaving the outer layer of bran on the grain. Your personal trainer prefers brown rice not only because of its nutty texture, but due to the higher nutritional value. It's good for the heart, aids digestion, and may reduce the risk of cancer, diabetes, and high cholesterol. It's all in the brand. This is white rice. White rice has had its hull removed and its bran mostly polished off, destroying 60 to 90% of those awesome minerals and vitamins. So you see, it's all the same rice. The difference is how much it's been processed. Brown, it still has its hull. At the mill, the protective hull is removed from the rice kernel for.
Was that clear? Does that help? So all rice is the same rice. It comes as, patty rice. You take off the hull, it then becomes brown rice. That's how you can't eat the hull. So that's how God made it. He made it as brown rice. And then when we polish it, we make it white rice, okay? So if we follow the rule as to eat it in its most natural state, clearly we should all be eating brown rice instead of white rice, right? Not because Nancy said so, but that's because God made it that way, right? Thank you. Okay. So, and here's just an example of a picture of the brown rice on the left, which is unprocessed. Picture of the white rice, which is then processed because it's been polished. And then ultra processed is when I take rice and I make it into Rice Krispies and I throw some marshmallows on it and some preservatives and I put it in a foil package that can last, 6 months to a year in a car. I don't know. They don't seem to go bad, right? That's what I mean by ultra processed, okay? So we have the cascade of going from an unprocessed food to a processed food to an ultra-processed food, okay? Another example would be this, which would be you have natural wheat in an unprocessed form. We take that wheat, we grind it up, if we remove, if we blanch it like we do with the rice, then you can come out with pasta, either whole wheat pasta or white pasta. That would be processed. And then you take it a step further and you take that pasta and you make it a cup of noodles or you make it a ramen or you make it whatever that is over there. Then it's become ultra processed, okay? Now, any questions? Okay. But Nancy, what is that? A tortilla chip? It's actually not too bad. If you look at the ingredients, look at the ingredients. So one of the other ways, very good point, Abuna, one of the other ways to help determine how healthy something is look at how many ingredients are in it, right? If it has 20 ingredients and all these chemical names in it, that's not how God made it. Right, exactly. But honestly, but if you look at those chips, sometimes it just has corn and oil, and so it's not that processed. So I wrote, but Nancy, processed foods are so yummy and easy. Why are they so bad? Okay, because I feel like أنا بنكد عليكم, okay? And that's not my intention. The problem is whenever you process something, whenever you take it from how God made it and you do something to it, in general, you're going to get a reduction in the nutrients. You're going to lose the minerals. Even if I take strawberries and if I take an apple and I make applesauce from it, the second I cook it, I'm going to start losing some of the vitamins and the minerals. Even if I peel an apple, right? A lot of people don't eat peel on apple. I don't know why. But I've already started to lose some of the vitamins and the minerals that God has intended for me to eat in that peel, right? So it's kind of it's just a natural thing that happens when we start to process the foods. They lose their vitamins and their minerals, which we need. Now, the other part is that processed foods not only remove the good, but they add the bad. Okay? So what do I mean by bad? So one of the things that's really important for you to realize is that there is a food industry, right? They are a business. If I have a business, what do I want? I want to maximize my profit. I want repeat customers, right? Any good drug dealer, you want people to come back, right? Right? So what do you do to make them come back? Number one is, if you have food, you don't want it to go bad, right? I mean, I always want to open up a restaurant and I'm like, everything's going to go bad and booze and I'm never going to make any money, right? Because it all spoiled. So one of the first things you do is you want to increase the shelf life. How do you increase the shelf life? You add preservatives, right? So we're adding all these chemicals to our food. The other thing you want to do is you want to increase desirability. How do we increase desirability of the food? What? Dyes and flavors, exactly. And sugar, right? Sugar is the other thing, right? Sugar is a really important one, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And the other thing is increasing profitability is, what's been happening over the past 20 years is cane sugar is actually expensive compared to a cheaper sugar such as corn syrup. Okay? And so what did they do? They stopped using cane sugar and they started using corn syrup, right? And that's brought in actually a lot of different health issues called fatty liver and other things, which we can talk about a different time. But just as an example of maximizing their profits is taking away regular sugar and using corn syrup, which is a very unnatural product. Okay? Okay. I'm going to skip this slide. So let's just talk a little bit about artificial colors. So in Europe, if you have artificial colors, you have to have a warning label on the food that says, warning, this has artificial colors and can cause increased hyperactivity and lack of attention in children. So they have warning labels on their food if there's artificial colors. Do we have that here? No. Why do you think they have that in Europe and not here? Why do they care? Go back to maximize profitability. Why do they care, Abuna?
They care for the well-being of the people.
They may be just good people, but
More liability.
more liability because their health system is not private. Their health system is government-based. The health system is government-based, right? At the end of the day, everybody has government insurance. So the government's going to pay the more the people get sick from the food. In America, is that true? No, it's not true. They have more stringent rules than we do, for sure. Yeah. Which is why, yeah. Yeah. Yes. Which is, It can contribute, yes, to ADHD. And like you have to realize it's not just in like the rice, it's not just in the Fruity Pebbles that you see, right? It's in like Rice-A-Roni. It's in cough syrup. It's in like the Sudafed that I got the other day because I look at everything. It's in many things, and you just have to keep an eye out for these things, okay? Sorry?
Artificial flavors as well?
No, artificial colors is what I'm talking about here. So next is sugar. So this is a scary statistic, but 80% of processed food in America contains added sugar. Okay? So why? Because sugar is very delicious and it's addictive, right? Abuna can tell you this because I'm sure he knows, but when we eat something that has a very a fast sugar intake, the same part of the brain lights up, that lights up when we do drugs, when we do alcohol. It's the addiction center of the brain lights up. It's the same reward center. And the food industry knows this. And so what are they going to do? They're going to add sugar to almost everything. Really, 80% of our foods have added sugar. Anyone know how much added sugar we should have in a day? So I have it written up there. So in general, actually, I didn't learn this in school. I learned it from my daughter. She learned it in school, and then I looked it up. But it's true, because I had never heard this. But it's about 6 teaspoons a day for women and 9 teaspoons a day for men. 9. 9. 6 for women and 9 teaspoons for men. And in general, in America, we get about 20 to 25 teaspoons a day. Right. Anyone know how many teaspoons of sugar in a can of soda? Yeah.
That means sugar, not just like spoons of sugar, but sugar that's in bread and chips.
Sure. Yeah. I will do it in the next slide. Yes. Mm. Yeah. Or like 18 grams of sugar, I think, are in it. Yes. Grams, yes. So in a can of Coke, you can see here, this is a nutrition label, right? You can see here that the total sugars are 39 grams, okay? On the bottom there. So 39 divided by each teaspoon of sugar is 4 grams. So it roughly has about 9 teaspoons of sugar in one can of soda. There's one thing I want to show you here. I don't know how to do. Is there a pointer? No? Okay. So guys, stay with me here. This is important. So on the nutrition label, you can see that, this is how many grams of carbs are total in a can of soda, 39 grams. And then next to it is a percentage. The percentage is how much of this is the daily percentage you should have in a day. So if you have 39 grams of carbs, it's saying that's about 14% of your total daily intake. Because it's trying to give you an idea of, how much of this are you allowed to have in a day, right? So you can see that for total fat, you can see that for sodium, you can see that for total carbs, right? So where is it here? But why is this blank? This is blank because when the government came out with nutrition labels and the food industry and the soda industry realized that the American people would have their eyes opened, they lobbied Congress to have that removed. And Congress obliged, right? And so, again, just realize that you have to, unfortunately, no one's going to protect us but ourselves, right? And
if someone has 3 cans of Coke, regular Coke a day, that's
yeah.
50% of their total carbs. Yani basically, right?
Yeah, but it's 100% of their total added sugars.
100% of their sugar.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. If they have 3 cans, yes.
And half of the carbs you can have a day.
Yes.
All 3 meals,
Yes.
including snacks.
Yes. Exactly. So I want to make sure do we understand the concept of carbohydrates versus added sugars?
Can you rephrase, please, one more time?
Sorry?
Rephrase it one more time.
Which part?
For the carbs versus the added sugar.
Sure. Okay. All right. So think of a muffin. I'm going to eat a muffin. Okay. How do you make a muffin? You get some flour, right? Which is carbohydrates, right? And you get some sugar, and you get some butter and some eggs, right? And so on the nutrition label, it might say like 40 grams of carbohydrates, which is a combination of the amount in the flour and the sugar. So in the total carbs, it'll include the carbohydrates you're getting from sugar and you're getting from like flour, starches. Does that make sense? So starches, have carbohydrates, right? But sugar is what we call like an added sugar. It's not like, so bread, when I eat bread, it's not sweet, right? But it has carbohydrates in it, right? But if I make a sweet bread and I add sugar to it, then the sugar is going to be a percentage of the total carbohydrates. No? Not clear. Okay, hold on. All carbohydrates break down into sugar, correct. So,
Added sugar
Yeah.
adds to the carb number.
yes, yes,
That's what
yes,
I'm trying to say.
yes.
يعني أي extra sugar you put on the product هيزود الرقم بتاع الكاربس in that product. Correct?
Yes. So if this is a label for a muffin, for example, right? And the total carbs, actually, I know the total carbs on the muffin at Dunkin' Donuts is about 70 grams, okay? So, but of the 70 grams, when we talk total carbs, okay, there's going to be, some of the carbohydrates are coming from flour, but some of the carbohydrates are also coming from the added sugar, because to make that muffin, I had to also add sugar, okay? But so that's the difference. Is that a little better?
Like where the carbs come from.
Right. Are they coming from like starch, or are they coming from actual added sugar? But all starches are going to become sugar anyways, right? Right? Okay.
How about the zero sugar Coke or diet still has sugar in it because it says like sugar zero?
So the question is does the Coke Zero, does it have sugar in it? It doesn't have any sugar in it. It doesn't have any sugar in it. So is it good for us? No. No, but again, people will ask. And so you go back to that first thing. Is it real food? Did God make it? No. So it failed the test. Okay? Right. So we go back to the two concepts, right? So is it real food? Did God make Splenda? No. Right? So the two concepts were, is it real food? And the second one was balance. So in general, my response about Splenda is it's a chemical, so be aware of that and use it if you need to use it, because I treat diabetic patients and I tell them not to have sugar, right? So if they need to have a little Splenda, that's okay with me, right? But in moderation. But I have patients who come in and say they take 8 Splenda in a coffee. We sit down and we have a long talk, okay? Because that is not good for anybody. What's the maximum? Again, it's trying to use it in moderation. 3 is too much, to be honest with you.
Part of the diet. My daughter is on a diet right now.
Yes.
Her mom is always trying to get her something a little bit sweet. So
Yes.
she goes for Splenda instead.
Yes.
So what do you think of that?
Again, you can use it, but you want to use it in moderation. The problem with 3 Splenda, I'll answer. What's your name? Wafat. Hi, Wafat. So the problem with 3 Splenda is that Splenda is like 2,000 times sweeter than sugar, okay? It's a very unnatural substance, okay? And there's a concept, it's called, we have these taste buds, right? And our taste buds get used to something, right? They get used to a certain level of sweetness. They get used to a certain level of salt, right? So sometimes I go to my my mom's house and she made something and I think it's salty, but she doesn't think it's salty, right? Because we have what we're used to is different. The problem with a lot of Splenda is you're getting your body used to a lot of sweetness. You want the sweetness. You know what I mean? Like you're going to crave that sweetness, and that's an issue. The other thing about artificial sweeteners that most people don't know is that they're so close to sugar that when you take it, your body is fooled into thinking sugar is coming, that it starts to produce insulin to combat it. So artificial sweeteners will cause your body to put out a little insulin because it thinks that you're going to get sugar, and that eventually leads you to feeling more hungry. Yes.
How about the raw sugar? I read a lot about the raw sugar
Yeah.
and the honey. We treat the honey as a sugar too.
Yeah.
It's like the same thing in our body.
Yeah.
We use the honey instead of sugar for the kids.
It's fine. So honey and raw sugar are fine. Again, it's the quantity, right? Is that
It's better or nothing? It's the same
better than what?
to our body.
Better than what?
To the regular sugar.
Oh, yeah. So the more natural, the better, right? We go back to that. If it's yes, it is better. It's because it's more natural, right?
The same amount.
The same amount, yes, the same amount. Okay.
يعني واحد يقول لك ده الهاني اللي هو العسل الابيض ده صحي جدا والاميون سيستم بتاعه نشرب له مثلا
Yeah.
برطمان هاني. طب بعد كده اعمل
Yeah. It's not good. It's not good. Right. Exactly. Right. Which balance, moderation. Yes. Okay. So I just want to take this moment and say, please, as parents, I know we care so much about our children and we try so hard to do everything right for them. And one of the things I just want to say is soda is really bad for you. It's really, really bad for you. And the problem is a lot of us got used to drinking it as children and but it's just something that really, I would encourage everyone to try to minimize as much as possible in your homes, especially with kids. America has one of the highest childhood obesity in the world, actually. And so it's just really important that, living here, that we protect our children, because America is not a good environment for health, actually.
Sorry, do you know the amount of sugar kids are supposed to get, like women and men?
Oh, that's a good question. I will look that up. I'll let you know next week. But I think it's maybe, I don't know. Okay, so I want to talk about something that is near and dear to my heart. I want to explain what happens when we eat with our blood sugar. So there I am in the morning, okay, that's me, okay? And then my blood sugar when I wake up is generally stable when I wake up in the morning, the blood sugar is pretty stable. It's between 70 to 100, right? And if your blood sugar is like 105, we say, uh-oh, something's wrong. The body's very strict. I mean, Rabbina is amazing. The body's very strict about the level of sugar we should have in our bloodstream, okay? So you wake up in the morning and your sugar's fine. And then I eat breakfast. The problem in America is breakfast has become kind of a dessert, okay? Like it's muffins, donuts, pancakes, cereal, waffles, syrup, Pop-Tart, musiba. Okay, so it's when I have that breakfast, that is a lot of a lot of processed carbohydrates, okay, it breaks down very fast, okay? And when the food breaks down very fast, I'm eating food, it goes to my stomach, it's broken down, and then it goes into my bloodstream, right? If I eat cereal, like Rice Krispies, for instance, it's broken, it's already, they say it makes noises in your mouth, like crack, pop, right? That's because it's already breaking down in your mouth. It's that fast, right? And then it goes in your stomach and يتهدم بسرعة قوي, right? ما حاجة تتهدم بسرعة قوي, السكر بيعلى بسرعة قوي. Okay? if I eat something that has a lot of fiber, okay, then il hadam, is that a correct word? Il hadam? Yeah. Ful madammis. So when you eat something that has fiber, like an apple, right, has a lot of fiber in it, then that it takes a long time for the body to break that down, and the sugar is absorbed slowly, okay? And so you don't get a big spike. And so the faster my sugar rises, the body says, wait a second, this sugar is too, let's put out some insulin to bring the sugar back down. So the body makes naturally some insulin, and then the sugar starts to come down. As the sugar comes down, and it's kind of like the higher something goes, you know, the faster it comes down, or the steeper it comes down, the body's like, wait a second, what's going on? And as it senses that drop in blood sugar, it sends out hunger signals. It says, Nancy, go get me something else. The sugar levels are dropping. Go get me something else, right? There's nothing in there. And then that triggers my cravings. That triggers me looking for something else. That's, you know, that triggers an energy drop. I'm crashing, and I'm looking for the next thing to pick me up, right? And a lot of times, if people feel hungry often, then they're usually on this. They're on this situation, okay? That's why, like, a lot of times we joke around and they say, like, if I eat fool, I feel, what are they? Like, yeah, like, اتلكمت, or, you know what I mean? Like, أكلت fool, like, خلاص, يعني, you know what I mean? For hours, right? Like, you know, I can't eat anything else. Because it has a lot of fiber, and your body's breaking it down, and you have a lot of gas, and all these things happen, right? So, it's really important to keep this in mind, because what they found is that they've done studies where they took like 71 college students in Canada, and they fed them a breakfast that was kind of a fast carbohydrate, a bowl of cereal, right? And on another day, they fed them an omelet and some fruit, right? And they repeated this several times, and an hour or two after they ate breakfast, they would give them a test. And they found consistently on the days where they had the fast-acting carbohydrates, meaning the food like ithadam basura, that they did poorer on the test. They had lower grades than on the days where they had a slower breakfast, where they had the omelet and the fruit as opposed to cereal. So, you know, it's really important for our kids that their breakfast is, you know, as nutritious as we can possibly make it, and not just a rushed bowl of cereal, for instance. So there's many studies that say that they do better if they have breakfast, even though the interval fasting craze is going on right now, right? But no, there are studies that show that having breakfast is very important towards academic performance. And that's why schools actually offer breakfasts in certain areas, right? Mm-hmm. So, again, what we put in our children for breakfast is going to affect their academic performance. And that's just an important take-home message for us, okay? So how do I balance things? How do I fix things? In order to balance your meals, the first thing we have to understand is this concept of macronutrients. It's 7:50. Sorry, I don't want to keep going. First of all, don't be stressed. Everything is fine. I've switched my kids' breakfasts, and their grades are no better, so don't worry. Yes. Yes.
I'm totally not addicted to sugar.
Yes.
But in some cases, like I'm eating normal, low sugar most of the time. But in some days, like, and especially at the night, I need sugar. Maybe like I grab like a bunch of learn to eat sugar a little bit. So I can be normalized and they can be, somehow I will not be able to go to sleep unless I do this. But it's not frequently or daily basis. It's
Yes.
maybe once a week, maybe
Yeah.
once every 2 weeks, something like that.
No, it's not weird. I think you have to look to see what's going on with you emotionally and mentally in those time periods, right? Because sometimes, you sure? Like a lot of times, stress eating is a real thing. Emotional eating is a real thing. I remember one time I was buying ice cream for the camp, and I went to the cashier with all this ice cream, and she said, "Oh, did you break up with your boyfriend?" I said, "No." I said, "No." But you know what I mean? Like she immediately saw that I was going to eat my emotions.
It's also culture. It has something to do with culture with the amounts as well. Because I go to one of our families, and they put so much food on the table, enough for like 20 families. And then I go to an American couple. Actually, they had a few toasts with some like chopped olives. That was the dinner. Yeah, chopped olives, mashed tomato. It's like very different. The way and they were like okay and happy and
Yes.
so it's also
Cultural.
how we were
Cultural.
trained to eat,
Cultural. Yes.
I think.
Food is a blessing. Yes. 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 Abuna,
We need just 5 minutes to pray at the end for.
okay. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go through this really. So we talked about eating as much as possible natural, real food. The next thing you need to make sure you're trying to do is that you're balancing your meals. The way you balance your meals is you balance your macronutrients. Macronutrients, big word. All it means is everything we eat, it's either a carbohydrate or a protein or a fat. When it gets broken down in our bodies, it becomes one of these. Everything, okay? Carbohydrates, as you guys know, bread, rice, pasta, but vegetables are also carbohydrates, okay? They have carbohydrates in them. Carrots have carbohydrates in them. Protein, what's protein? Right. Right. Beans. And fats, of course, oil, butter, avocado, nuts, okay? Okay. So well, it depends on. You want me to? Okay, I'll go through it quickly and be done. Sure. Okay. So all carbohydrates, as we said, break down into sugar. So I have patients that come to me and they say, "I don't know why my sugar is high. I don't eat any sweets." But they eat rice, they eat bread, they eat corn, right? All of this still becomes sugar. So the most important thing is to eat carbohydrates that are less processed and have more fiber. Protein is really important. It's the one nutrient that keeps us the fullest the longest. So again, if we're struggling with hunger, make sure you're getting enough protein. I know it's a little harder during the Siyam, but we can talk about beans. Right. Yes. And tofu and things like that. So protein. And then lastly is fats. Fats are generally good for you, especially the healthy fats, but I wouldn't be as afraid of fats as they were in the 1980s. It's fine to have eggs. It's fine. Again, God made eggs. It passes the test, right? So when we eat our meals, we want to make sure they're balanced, that they have a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and a little bit of this, right? That's what you're looking for, right? The main problem I see is people are eating in an unbalanced way. So, and marketing is a big part of that, okay? Again, food industry, business, they're marketing, right? And so they show you this and you say, "Oh, that looks very healthy, Nancy. Looks very good." But, is that balanced? So when I say balanced, does it have protein? Does it have, carbohydrate? Does it have some fat? That bowl is all carbohydrate, right? Cereal is carbohydrate. Even the fruit is good for you, but it's still carbohydrate. So it's an unbalanced meal, right? I need to add some protein to this meal to make it a healthier meal. Looking at a salad, for instance, is this balanced or unbalanced? Is it balanced? So does it have a protein? No. Right? So it's balancing our meals. So salad is healthy, right? Nothing's wrong with salad, right? But if I eat salad alone, maybe I'm not going to feel full, especially for siyam, right? So maybe I need to add a can of chickpeas to this to make me feel more full. A can of chickpeas. Hummus. Yeah, I add some hummus to it. I add some olives to it, right? The olives avocado would add some fat to it, right? It's always, how do I add some fat? How do I add some protein? So I balance the meal. And that helps the meal get digested more slowly, keeps me fuller longer, and, helps reduce the blood sugar spikes. Okay. That's an example of balanced. And then here are my take-home points. Again, balance your meals. Most of us don't get enough vegetables, and that's the main thing. And this is one of the things I will say. We always talk about parenting, that your kids are looking at you. Your kids are looking at you. If you don't eat vegetables, they're not going to eat vegetables. So make sure that you take a look in the mirror first and you address, your own dietary issues. Yes?
The problem is the media here, the TV, the social media, and the kids in school.
Yeah.
You're obsessed with junk food.
Yes, you're right. Yes. 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 Absolutely. But just like anything, we have to be the kids' gatekeeper, right? We have to say yes, no. It's a huge challenge. God help us all.
Now, we're aware and we're very careful. We will do it right. If we don't care because we don't think it's important, we're not going to care. Think of anything انتوا علمتوها لأولادكم سواء في الأدب والاحترام سواء في السكول وسكول ورك أو في الكنيسة because you're very strict and you're actually very serious about it and you keep enforcing وتفضلوا تعلموا. It becomes successful. في الأكل is the same concept.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I feel like it's 7:57. The other thing I want to say is please do not be a short order cook, okay? You decide what is provided to your children and when it's provided, right? You decide what is on the table. You decide when it's on the table. They decide how much. Do not tell your children that's too much to eat or that's too little. Just let them decide how much they want to eat, okay? That's a really important point that I have to stress for you. And then lastly, if they go to dinner, they come to your table and they decide you put the vegetables, you put the protein, you put the starch, and they only want to eat the pasta, and an hour later they're hungry, I suggest you don't make them food, okay? Because that's the issue, right? Is that kids won't eat and then they'll say, can I have a Rice Krispie treat? And then that's how, you know what I mean, we're sabotaging their diet in essence, okay? All right. Thank you.
So let's ممكن نقف نصلي please for Rafi and all the sick people يعني from our congregations and all the sick in general. بسم الله والابن والروح القدس الآن واحد امين. نشكرك يا إلهنا الصالح على اجتماعنا هذا. نشكرك يا رب على تجمعنا في بيتك. تعالى واسكن بوسطنا يا رب واذكر كل مريض. أيضا فنسأل الله ضابط الكل أبو ربنا ولنا مخلصنا يسوع المسيح نسأل ونطلب من صلاحك يا محب البشر. اذكر يا رب مرضى شعبك اشفيهم يا رب. تعهدهم بالمراحم والرأفات انزع عنهم عنا كل مرض وكل سقم وروح الأمراض اطرده. والذين أبطأوا مطروحين في الأمراض كم معزيهم والمعذبين من أرواح النجس أعطهم جميعا وارحمهم. الذين في السجون ومطابق والنفي مقبوض عليهم فأبدا يطمر يا رب أعطهم جميعا وارحمهم لأنك أنت الذي تحل المربوطين وتقيم الساقطين. رجاء من ليس له رجاء معين من ليس له معين عزاء صغير القلوب من الذين في العاصف. كل الأنفس المتضايقة والمقبوض عليها أعطها رب راحة أعطها رحمة أعطى نعمة أعطى معونة أعطى خلاص أعطى غفران لخطايا وأثاما. أما نحن يا رب فأمراض نفوسنا اشفيها والتي لا أجسادنا فيها أيها الطبيب الحقيقي
الذي لأنفسنا وأجسادنا يا مدبر كل جسد تعهدنا بخلاصك يا رب. وأيضا نسأل ونطلب من صلاحك يا محب البشر، اذكر يا رب اجتماعاتنا، باركها يا رب. أعطي أن تكون لنا بالأمانة والعاق نصنع مشيئتك المقدسة الطوبوية، بيوت صلاة، بيوت طهارة، بيوت بركة أنعم بها علينا يا رب وعلى عبيدك الآتين بعدنا عباد الأوثان. اقلعكم أيها الرب وليتبدد جميع أعداءك، وليهرب من كل قدام وككل مبغض اسم القدوس. أما شعبك يا رب فليكونوا بالبركة ألوف ألوف، ربوات ربوات يصنعون رأتك المقدسة بالنعمة والرفعات ومحبة البشر اللواتي لابنك الوحيد ربنا ولنا مخلصنا يسوع المسيح، هذا الذي من قبل المجد والإكرام والعزة والسجود يليق بك مع مرة اسمه الآن وكل وان ده الدور أمين. بك لا أصغى نمنيت إكليسيا Soti hoerok ohe volem vokev goemos Jenainan 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 evnot eviot bebandokratur Jenainan, 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 evnoti pen sotir, Jenainan, 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 evnoti o ناينان يا رب ارحم ارحمنا 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 يا الله الآب يا ضابط الكل ارحمنا 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 يا الله ثم ارحمنا ارحمنا نام يا الله ثم ارحمنا يا رب. أخيرا يا رب نسألك من أجل عبدك رافي وكل مريض يا رب من شعبنا ومن كل العالم أن تمنحه الشفاء يا رب، ولتكن مشيئتك الصالحة. أنت الحنون يا رب الرحيم المترائف على كل خليقتك، احنا كلنا أولادك يا رب، وأنت تشفق على الجميع لأنك أنت الأب يا رب الحنين. بشفاعة أم النور الطاهرة مريم ترأف على هذه الأسرة يا رب، اصنع معهم رحمة ومعنا رحمة يا رب. تحنن على كل مريض وكل إنسان متألم سواء نفسيا أو جسديا. ادي يا رب نعمة لكل المحيطين بيهم عشان يديهم التعضيد والمساعدة التي يحتاجونها منك. ادينا يا رب كلنا النعمة ان احنا نخدمك ونطلب اسمك القدوس في كل وقت. واخيرا يا رب اسمعنا عندما ندعوك بدالة البنين قائلين يا ابانا الذي في السماوات يتقدس اسمك، يأتي ملكوتك، تكن مشيئتك كما في السماء كذلك على الارض. أعطينا اليوم، اغفر لنا ذنوبنا كما نغفر نحن أيضا للمذنبين إلينا، ولا تدخلنا في تجربة لكن نجينا من الشرير، بالمسيح يسوع ربنا، أن لك الملك والقوة والمجد للأبد آمين. طيب احنا معانا a few good attendance. وفاء سيرجيوس طبعا good attendance، ما هي اللي بتاخد الاتندنس أصلا، ما لازم تبقى good attendance. وريتا عبد الملاك، ومرقص ابو شوشه. ده طبعا تبع وفاء، يجي ليه هو اصلا؟ ما هم نفس البيت. ومايكل جابريال، مايكل مشى، شكل مايكل مشى. وهناء مرقص. هناء فين؟ هناء حنان. وهند ناشد. مين فين هند؟ تعالي. وبيرثداي عندنا أميرة قديس. تعالي أميرة. بيرثداي، هابي بيرثداي. تعالي يا هند. هنعمل دول. We have 3 tickets. أول واحدة the last 3 numbers 131. مين 131؟ بصوا على الأرقام. 131. طب قول لي رقمك كام؟ ميرنا 131. لا حول الله يا رب. أخيرا. هو أنت عمرك ما كتبتي؟ على طول كده. 117. يلا بقى يا روماني. 117 بإذن ربنا. 117. مين مع 117؟ طب 138. 138. 138. مبروك يا تريز. كده خلاص. 140. 140. تعالي يا ستي. كده خلاص. That's it. كل سنة وانتم طيبين. Good job. Good job.